Hello again and welcome to another edition of Into the Fray. I'm Kevin Michalowski, editor of Concealed Carry Magazine, and this time we're talking about the McCluskeys. You know who they are. All right, this couple from St. Louis has been in the news on and off for weeks now. The McCluskeys, no relation. They're now currently being charged with a Class E felony for brandishing and pointing their weapons at protesters, I'm calling them rioters who were on their private property. Now, I'm not here to talk about whether they were right or wrong or, the tactical mistakes that they made, and I will talk about one. They stood out in front of a large group of people with their weapons, and they weren't seeking any cover. Anybody in that crowd could have shot at them and killed them before they were able to return fire. So I'm a big fan of always look for cover. Yes, look for cover. If you think there might be gunfire, look for cover. But what we're talking about this time is what happened with the McCluskeys and what happened during and after that incident. And this is something that not a lot of people think about, okay? So yes, you can look at that videotape and you can say, unequivocally, they were 100% right, or unequivocally, they were 100% wrong. Doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the aftermath and what's happening to those two people right now. We're dealing with a situation where by carrying their guns, by brandishing their guns, they very likely stopped criminal activity from happening. But they have to face the music. And by brandishing their guns, they very likely stopped criminal activity. But there's some aftermath they have to deal with because they weren't thinking about, and this is, what all the kids are saying today, the optics of the situation. What was going on there and what's happening. So, yes, we see a group of rioters break into private property and they're crossing the private property and allegedly there are some threats made and all sorts of things are happening and the homeowners come out to defend their property with their firearms. Now, from my perspective, my police training says the first intervention option, the first choice that we as police officers make is presence. We have presence, dialogue, control alternatives, protective alternatives, and deadly force. Those are our intervention options. So presence, which is simply a visible display of authority, in this case it would be a visible display of force, stopped what was going on. It was a deterrent to the criminal activity. But the optics of the situation is such that now a district attorney who is a political animal, someone who is going to be voted into and out of office, decided that she must do something because everyone is complaining about this. So you need to remember that having a gun and doing all the right things might not be the end of the story. You have to remember how things are going to look, and after the situation is over, the investigators, the district attorney, and even the general public is all going to weigh in on what's going on. As a result of this, the McCluskeys are getting charged with a felony. Now, being charged does not mean you're convicted, but being charged does mean you have to face these charges and you have to fight them. So now they have to go through the aftermath of this incident just because they went out there to protect themselves. So, how could they have done better? Maybe that's your question. What could they have done to protect their property and not end up with a charge like this? Well, first of all, maybe they shouldn't have pointed their guns at people, but, they were ready for anything. I mean, this was a bad situation. We could argue that all day long. But maybe they could have gotten outside, made a stand, moved to cover, and still presented that visual display of deterrence, of authority, of power, whatever, to stop the actions from happening without maybe crossing that line that would push a district attorney into making a charge. So understand this. After the incident is over, even if no shots were fired, somebody is going to be reviewing your actions and you are going to deal with the aftermath of choosing to use your firearm for self-defense. Having a gun, getting great training, and then using it effectively and correctly is not the end of the story. You've got to be ready for what comes next. I'm Kevin Michalowski, editor of Concealed Carry Magazine. Thanks for watching Into the Fray.